I built a $2.3 million construction empire with these hands. Calloused, scarred, blue-collar hands that my Stanford MBA son was ashamed of. So ashamed that at Christmas dinner, when I reached for my chair at the head of the table, Max grabbed it and pulled so hard I fell face first onto marble. "Judge Sterling sits here," he announced to 25 guests. "My real father-in-law, not some trailer park contractor. Trailer park contractor. That's what he called the man who paid his tuition. Who bought his house? Who gave him everything? But here's what my entitled son never learned in business school. Always read your contracts. Because that $1.8 million I gave him, those weren't gifts. They were loans, with call provisions and 30-day payment terms. I'm Liam Mitchell, and while I was picking myself up off their floor, I was calculating interest rates. But before I tell you how I financially destroyed my own son in one phone call, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories where blood really is thicker than water, until it's not. Let me take you back to where this all started. Riverside Trailer Park, Ohio, 1965. Lot 23, a double wide with aluminum siding that leaked every time it rained. My father, Danny Mitchell, spent more time with Jack Daniels than with his family. My mother, Carol, worked 3 jobs just to keep the lights on and food on our table. I slept on a fold-out couch in the living room until I was 16 years old. Every night, I'd listen to my parents fight about money through those paper-thin walls. Every morning, I'd fold up my blankets before the school bus came, pretending I had a real bedroom like the other kids. That couch taught me everything I needed to know about hunger. Not for food, for something better, for respect. For a life where my kids would never know the shame of free lunch tickets or hand-me-down clothes from the church donation box. The other kids at school knew where I lived. Trailer trash, they'd whisper when they thought I couldn't hear. But I heard everything, every insult, every joke, every reminder that I was less than them. At 16, I borrowed $500 from our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. She was a widow who believed in second chances. I bought a beat-up 1979 Ford pickup truck and started hauling debris for construction sites around town. 50 cents per load. My hands bled for weeks from handling rough lumber and concrete chunks, but every blister was worth it. 25 years later, Mitchell Construction was worth $2.3 million. I swore my son would never know that struggle. Diana, my wife, she understood the dream better than anyone. We met at the diner where she worked night shifts, pouring coffee for truckers and construction workers like me. She had dreams too. College dreams, teaching dreams. But when Max came along, we both knew what mattered most. When Max got accepted to Stanford Business School, we both knew what it meant. 4 years at $60,000 a year, plus living expenses, plus books, plus that MBA program he wanted afterward. Nearly $300,000 total. Diana took a second job at the diner downtown, then a third, cleaning office buildings from midnight to 6 a.m. I watched her leave at 6 in the morning and come home at midnight 7 days a week. Dark circles under her eyes, hands cracked and bleeding from industrial soap and harsh chemicals. "It's for Max," she'd say every night, counting tip money at our kitchen table, 1s and 5s and quarters. "He'll never have to live like we did, never have to choose between rent and groceries." The stress killed her. February 14th, 2019, Valentine's Day. Heart attack in the parking lot of that downtown diner. She was carrying groceries to her car after finishing her cleaning shift. 48 years old. I found her purse in the hospital emergency room. Inside, an envelope marked Max's spring tuition. $3,000 in crumpled singles and 5s, tips from working herself to death. At her funeral, I made a promise at her graveside, with dirt still fresh on the coffin. "Diana, our boy will have everything, everything we never did." That promise would cost me everything. Max graduated Stanford debt-free. Not 1 penny of student loans. While his classmates worried about 6-figure payments and interest rates, Max worried about which luxury internship paid more. I made sure of that. Every semester, I wired $18,000 directly to his account. Never late. Never questioned. His apartment near campus cost $1,800 a month. I paid it. His car, a brand new Honda Accord, was a cash purchase, $22,000. His spring break trips to Europe, his designer clothes, his fraternity dues, all of it came from my construction company's account. When he graduated with his MBA, I handed him an envelope at his graduation party. "Your investment fund," I said. $1.8 million. Everything I'd saved over 25 years. Everything Diana and I had sacrificed for. "Thanks, Dad," he said, barely looking up from his phone. "I'll put it to good work." Put it to good work. Like it was pocket change from the tooth fairy. But that wasn't the worst part. At his Stanford graduation party, I met his classmates for the first time. Investment banker kids, doctors' children, old money families with trust funds and family compounds. "So what does your father do?" one asked Max while I stood right there. I waited for him to say construction company owner, business owner, self-made millionaire who built something from nothing. Instead, Max cleared his throat uncomfortably. "He's in real estate development." Real estate development, not construction, not blue-collar work, something that sounded clean, respectable, professional. At Stanford, he told people I was a developer. Here's what Max didn't understand about that $1.8 million. I didn't just hand him cash like some lottery winner. I'm not stupid. 25 years in business teaches you to protect yourself, especially when family is involved. I created what lawyers call an investment partnership. Sounds fancy, right? Mitchell Family Ventures, LLC. Filed with the state of California. Official paperwork. Legal entity. Max thought it meant we were equal partners, building wealth together. He was wrong. According to the Articles of Incorporation, I owned 51%. He owned 49%. The documents were crystal clear about the power structure. But I simplified the explanation for him because I didn't want to seem controlling or manipulative. "It's to help you invest, son," I told him. "Build your future, learn about business." Max signed without reading, page after page of legal documents. He trusted me completely. Why wouldn't he? I was his father. I'd never steered him wrong before, but those documents contained something Max never noticed, something my lawyer, Michael Porter, insisted on including, a call provision, standard business language that protects partners from bad actors. Section 12, paragraph 4. In the event of partnership dissolution for any reason, including but not limited to breach of fiduciary duty, all outstanding loans become immediately due and payable within 30 days of written notice. All loans, with interest calculated from the date of origination. 30-day payment terms, no exceptions. "I'll handle the legal stuff, Dad," Max had said, signing the final page. "You focus on the construction work." The construction work. Like it was beneath him already. Max didn't read the fine print. 6 months after graduation, Max called me from California. Excited, energetic, full of big plans and bigger dreams. "Dad, I found the perfect house. Beverly Hills adjacent. Brentwood area. $2.8 million. $2.8 million. More than my entire company's net worth. More than I'd made in my entire career. It's an investment property," he explained with all the confidence of a fresh MBA. "Real estate always appreciates in Los Angeles. Plus, Madison loves it. She thinks it's perfect for entertaining." Madison, his new girlfriend, Judge William Sterling's daughter, old Connecticut money, Yale undergraduate, the kind of girl who'd never set foot in a trailer park, let alone lived in one. "I need $560,000 for the down payment," Max continued casually. "Can our partnership cover it? $560,000 for a down payment on a house he couldn't actually afford." I could have said no, should have said no. But I remembered Diana's last words in the hospital. "Give him everything, Liam, everything we couldn't have." "I'll handle it," I told him. Through our partnership, I provided the down payment from my personal savings. Max qualified for the remaining $2.24 million in mortgage debt based on his projected income and my co-signature. On paper, everything looked legitimate. Max Mitchell, property owner, success story. In reality, every penny traced back to me, my partnership, my legal entity, my carefully structured loans. Max moved into his mansion 3 weeks later. 3-car garage, marble countertops, infinity pool overlooking the city, the house he'd used to humiliate me. But Max wasn't done spending my money. The mansion was just the beginning of his real estate empire. "Dad, I want to expand my portfolio, build a diversified investment strategy, use the house equity for additional properties. More investments, more debt, more risk with money that wasn't really his." Within 18 months, Max had leveraged that mansion for everything it was worth. Second mortgage, home equity line of credit, investment property loans using the house as collateral. He bought a duplex in Santa Monica for $1.2 million, a downtown condo for $800,000, a vacation rental in Palm Springs for $500,000. Each purchase followed the same pattern. Max would find the property. I would provide partnership funds for the down payment. The banks would approve the mortgages based on Max's track record and my financial backing. Total debt exposure across all properties, $4.2 million. I'm building a real estate empire, Max told me proudly over dinner at an expensive restaurant. Just like you built your construction empire, but faster and smarter. Just like me. Except I built with sweat and savings and 18-hour workdays. Max built with borrowed money and leveraged debt. My borrowed money. Every loan application listed Mitchell Family Ventures as co-signer. Every mortgage had my partnership as guarantor. Max's signature was on the front of every document. My financial backing was buried in the fine print. "You're leveraged pretty heavily," I warned him during one of our quarterly partnership meetings. "That's how wealth works, Dad," he replied condescendingly. "You wouldn't understand. It's advanced business school stuff." Business school stuff. Like I hadn't been running a successful business since before he was born. He was building a house of cards. Then Max met Madison Sterling, Judge William Sterling's daughter, federal judge appointed by the president, old money that traced back to the Industrial Revolution, the kind of family that had trust funds older than my entire bloodline. Their engagement was announced in the society pages. Their wedding was planned for Martha's Vineyard. $75,000 for a single day. I paid for every detail, every flower arrangement, every candle, every overpriced dinner roll. At the engagement party, I finally met Judge Sterling face to face. Tall, distinguished, silver hair, handshake like a dead fish, the kind of man who'd never worked a physical job in his life. "So you're the contractor," he said. Not business owner, not Max's father. The contractor. Construction company owner, I corrected politely. "Built Mitchell Construction from the ground up?" "Ah, yes, manual labor." He said it like discussing something distasteful, something that might be contagious. "Madison tells me Max is quite the entrepreneur now. Must get his business sense from his mother's side." His mother's side. Diana, who cleaned office buildings and waited tables to pay for Max's education. During the engagement party toast, Judge Sterling spoke about welcoming Max into a family of achievement, about standards and proper breeding and appropriate social circles, about how Madison was elevating herself by choosing Max. I sat at table 14, the contractor's table, while Judge Sterling held court at the head table with politicians and federal judges and old money families. Max didn't even notice. He was too busy laughing at his future father-in-law's jokes, too busy proving he belonged in their world. I was funding my own humiliation. The first real sign of trouble came 6 months after the wedding. Max invited me to his country club for lunch. Hillcrest Country Club. $5,000 initiation fee. Monthly dues that cost more than most people's rent. I paid for his membership naturally. "Come meet some business contacts, Dad. Network a little. You might learn something about real estate investment." I might learn something. Like I hadn't been in business for 25 years. I drove my 2018 Toyota Camry into a parking lot full of Mercedes and BMWs and Teslas. Felt like a fraud in my best polo shirt and khakis. Everything I owned suddenly felt cheap and working class. Inside the clubhouse, Max was holding court with 3 other young men. All suits, all confidence. All looking at me like I'd tracked mud across their Persian rugs. "Gentlemen, I'd like you to meet my father," Max said. Not proudly, carefully, like introducing a recovering alcoholic at a temperance meeting. "Liam Mitchell," I extended my hand professionally. "Max's dad." "Pleasure to meet you," one replied with a perfectly practiced smile. "What line of work are you in?" "Construction," I said honestly. "Built Mitchell Construction from nothing. Started with a $500 loan and built it into a multi-million-dollar operation." The silence that followed felt like a funeral, like I'd admitted to selling drugs or running a brothel. "Actually," Max jumped in quickly, "Dad's more of a family friend these days. I handle the business operations now, real estate investment, property development. Family friend." His own father had become a family friend. Madison appeared at Max's elbow like magic. "Liam, sweetie, maybe the public course would be more your comfort level? This club can be so pretentious and stuffy. More my comfort level, the public course, where people like me belonged." Max nodded eagerly. "Yeah, Dad, you'd probably feel more comfortable there anyway." That was just the beginning. 3 months later, Max called with exciting news. His voice had that fake enthusiasm people use when they're trying to sell you something you don't want. Madison and I have been talking about our future, our brand. We're thinking about hyphenating our names. Mitchell Sterling. Has a nice ring to it, don't you think? Mitchell Sterling. My family name wasn't good enough anymore. It needed improvement, elevation, sterling polish to make it respectable. Your mother and I built that name, I told him quietly. Mitchell Construction, Mitchell Integrity, Mitchell Work Ethic. That name means something in this town. It's just business, Dad. Personal branding matters in my industry. You have to think about market perception. His industry. Like construction wasn't an industry. Like I hadn't built a business that employed 43 people and generated millions in revenue. But the real betrayal came 2 weeks later. I was buying supplies at Home Depot when I ran into Derek Walsh, one of Max's Stanford classmates. He was loading pool equipment into his Range Rover. Hey Liam, good to see you. How's Max doing these days? Heard he's going by Sterling now. Really smart move. Sterling has such a better ring for business development than Mitchell. Going by Sterling now, not hyphenating, not combining, replacing. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. What do you mean going by Sterling? Oh, at the alumni networking events. Business card says Max Sterling now. Makes sense, right? Sterling family has serious connections in federal politics. My family name, Diana's maiden name, 25 years of building Mitchell Construction's reputation in 3 counties. All of it suddenly embarrassing to him. I called Max that night. You told people you're dropping Mitchell entirely? Long pause. Guilty pause. It's complicated, Dad. In my circles, Sterling opens doors that Mitchell can't. You understand business. Sometimes you have to rebrand. My name built his life. Now he wanted to erase it. Christmas 2023. Madison called me personally on December 15th. Her voice was honey sweet with underlying steel. Liam, we absolutely insist you join us for Christmas dinner. Judge Sterling is hosting this year, and he's so excited to finally spend quality time with Max's family. The pause before family lasted a beat too long, like she was choosing her words carefully. How many people are we talking about? I asked. Oh, just intimate family and close friends. Maybe 25 people total. Nothing too fancy. Very traditional Christmas celebration. 25 people. Nothing fancy. In a $2.8 million mansion that I bought for them. Judge Sterling specifically asked about you, Madison continued sweetly. He wants to hear about Max's background, his roots, where he comes from. His roots. Like I was something Max had grown out of. Something from his past that needed explanation. He's particularly interested in the construction business, she added. How you built your little company. Your little company. $2.3 million in assets was little to these people. I should have declined. Should have felt the setup coming like a bad storm. But some foolish part of me hoped this was genuine. Maybe this was reconciliation. Maybe Max was finally ready to acknowledge where he came from. I'll be there, I said. Wonderful. Oh, and Liam? We've arranged a very special seating chart. Very traditional family hierarchy. You'll absolutely love it. Special seating chart. Traditional family hierarchy. I knew exactly what that meant. 2 days before Christmas, Max called to prepare me. Dad, just so you know, Judge Sterling might dominate the conversation. Federal judge, you know. Lots of important stories. Just let him lead the discussion. Let him lead the discussion. At dinner in the house I bought with money I earned. I should have seen what they were planning. Christmas Day arrived cold and gray. I drove to Max's mansion at exactly 7 p.m. carrying a bottle of wine that cost $60, more than I used to spend on groceries in a week. The house looked like something from Architectural Digest, 10-foot Christmas tree with professional decorations, catered appetizers on silver trays, 25 guests in cocktail attire and business suits, holding wine glasses and discussing federal politics. And there, holding court in the center of the living room, was Judge William Sterling, silver-haired, commanding, magnetic. Everyone hanging on his words about Supreme Court decisions and political appointments in federal jurisdiction cases. Max spotted me immediately and rushed over with nervous energy. Dad, you made it. Perfect timing. Come, let me introduce you around. The introductions were excruciating. This is my father, Liam Mitchell, always with that apologetic tone, like introducing a recovering alcoholic at a temperance meeting. Liam's in construction, Max would explain quickly, then change the subject to something more respectable. When dinner was announced, I approached my usual chair at the head of the dining room table, the same spot I'd occupied for every family dinner since they bought the house, the head of the family position. "Actually, Liam," Madison called out in her sweetest voice, "we've rearranged the seating tonight. Special Christmas tradition." Judge Sterling entered the dining room with presidential gravitas. Everyone stood immediately, like royalty had arrived, like the Pope had entered the building. That's when Max moved. Fast, deliberate, calculated. He grabbed my chair with both hands and yanked it backward so violently that I went down hard. My knees hit the Italian marble floor with a sharp crack. I scraped my palms, trying to break my fall. "My father-in-law sits here," Max announced to the 25 witnesses. "Judge Sterling earned this spot through real achievement. You're just a guest in this house. A guest in the house I bought. With the money I earned laying concrete for 30 years. 25 people watched. Nobody moved. Nobody helped. Nobody said a word. Small cuts on my palms started bleeding onto their $12,000 Persian rug. Madison appeared instantly with a roll of paper towels, not to help me up, not to check if I was seriously injured, to protect her expensive rug from my scraped hands. "Oh dear, Liam, you've made quite the mess on our floor." Made quite the mess. Like I'd accidentally spilled wine instead of being violently humiliated by my own son. Judge Sterling settled into my chair with satisfied authority. Perhaps Liam would be more comfortable in the kitchen. Sometimes older folks get a bit unsteady during holiday excitement. Older folks. Unsteady. I was 59 years old and in perfect health, until my son knocked me down on marble floors. The other guests murmured sympathetic agreement. Yes, kitchen might be safer. Holiday excitement can be overwhelming. Probably just lost his balance. Max helped me to my feet with impatient efficiency, not gently, not with concern, like handling a problem that needed quick resolution. "Dad's always been a little clumsy," he explained to his fascinated audience. "Too many years working with heavy equipment, you know? Occupational hazard." The conversation resumed immediately, like nothing unusual had happened. Like watching a man get knocked down and scraped up was normal dinner entertainment for federal judges and society wives. I excused myself to the bathroom, looked in the mirror at the damage, small cuts on my palms that stung but weren't serious, scuffed knees through my dress pants, $60 shirt wrinkled beyond repair. But something else had changed. Something fundamental and irreversible. The hurt was gone. The hope was gone. The father's love was gone. I stopped being his father that night. I became his business partner. And business partners always read the fine print. I returned to dinner with my hands cleaned up, sat at the children's table with 8-year-old cousins, smiled when spoken to, laughed at Judge Sterling's political jokes, complimented Madison on her catering choices. But inside, I was calculating. Interest rates, call provisions, 30-day notices, partnership dissolution clauses. 25 years in construction taught me one critical lesson: measure twice, cut once. When dinner ended 3 hours later, I thanked Madison for the lovely evening, shook Judge Sterling's hand firmly, hugged my son goodbye. "Thanks for coming, Dad," Max said without meeting my eyes. "Drive safe." I smiled, brushed the last specks of debris from my jacket, and said quietly, "Thank you for the education." I drove home through empty Christmas night streets, small bandages on my scraped palms, dress pants torn at the knees. My house felt smaller after their mansion. Modest, working class, everything Max had learned to be ashamed of in his new social circles. I went straight to my bedroom closet, moved the old steel-toed work boots that I hadn't worn in 5 years, found the small fireproof safe hidden behind them, the one Max didn't know existed, the one that contained my real insurance policy. Inside, original partnership documents, loan agreements, call provision clauses, interest calculation formulas, everything I'd filed away and tried to forget about when I trusted my son with my life's work. Until tonight. I spread the papers across my kitchen table, the same scratched oak table where Diana used to count tip money from the diner, where we planned Max's college applications, where we dreamed about giving him everything we never had. Partnership Agreement, page 12, section 4. In the event of partnership dissolution for any reason, including but not limited to breach of fiduciary duty or loss of mutual respect, all outstanding loans become immediately due and payable within 30 days of written notice. Outstanding loans, $1.8 million initial investment, plus accumulated interest at market rates, plus all guaranteed debts and co-signed obligations. Total exposure, $4.2 million. Max's current annual income from his various investments? Maybe $300,000 in a good year. He couldn't pay me back. Not in 30 days, not in 30 years, which meant foreclosure, bankruptcy, the complete destruction of his leveraged empire. 25 years in construction taught me one thing: measure twice, cut once. I'd been measuring for years without realizing it. Now it was time to cut. Max had no idea what was coming. At midnight on Christmas night, I called Michael Porter, my attorney for 15 years, the man who'd handled Diana's estate, who'd incorporated my business, who'd warned me about the partnership structure from the beginning. I woke him up. "Liam? Jesus, what time is it? Everything all right? I need to activate the call provision on the Mitchell Family Ventures partnership." Long silence, papers rustling in the background. "Liam, that's your son's primary funding source, his entire financial foundation. You absolutely sure about this?" "Read me the legal requirements." More papers rustling, computer keyboard clicking. 30-day written notice via certified mail. Upon partnership dissolution, all outstanding partnership debts become immediately due and payable. No exceptions, no extensions. How much does he actually owe? Give me a minute to access the files. Long pause. Keyboard clicking rapidly. Jesus Christ, Liam. $2.1 million to the partnership directly. But if you dissolve the partnership, all his leveraged debts become his personal responsibility. Without your backing, those mortgages get called too. Total exposure? $4.2 million. Maybe more with accumulated interest and penalty clauses. $4.2 million. Max's entire financial world balanced on partnerships and guarantees that I controlled. Can he realistically pay it? Not a chance in hell. Not unless he sells everything immediately. And in a forced sale market, he'd be lucky to break even. More likely he'd still owe money after losing everything. Underwater. Drowning in debt that I'd helped him accumulate through my own generosity. "Michael, prepare the dissolution papers." "Liam, I have to ask one more time. Are you absolutely certain? This will destroy him financially. Completely?" I touched the small bandages on my palms, felt the bruises forming on my knees. "Michael, I've never been more certain of anything in my life." January 3rd, 2024. The certified letter went out via registered mail with a return receipt requested. Notice of partnership dissolution and loan call. Mitchell Family Ventures, LLC. Outstanding debt, $2,100,000. Payment due in full within 30 days of receipt of this notice. I included copies of every document Max had signed over the years, every loan agreement he'd forgotten about, every personal guarantee he'd initialed without reading, every co-signature that tied his financial future to my decisions. His phone started ringing January 5th. I didn't answer. January 6th, 7 a.m. 23 missed calls. January 7th, Max showed up at my house at 6 in the morning, banging on my front door like a police raid, shouting loud enough to wake the neighbors. "Dad, what the hell is this letter? Some kind of sick joke?" I opened the door slowly. He looked terrible, unshaven, eyes bloodshot and wild, still wearing yesterday's clothes. Maybe the day before that. "It's business, son," I said calmly. "Nothing personal. Read your contracts." "Contracts? Dad, this is family money. You gave me this money as gifts, as inheritance. I loaned you this money through our legal partnership, which you just dissolved through your actions. I didn't dissolve anything. What are you talking about?" Christmas dinner. When you made it clear that I was just a guest in the house I bought, that Judge Sterling was your real father figure, that my family name was an embarrassment, that dissolved our partnership permanently. That's completely insane. You can't call a loan because your feelings got hurt. Your feelings got hurt, like violent humiliation was hurt feelings, like public degradation was emotional sensitivity. Actually, I can. Page 12, Section 4. Any action demonstrating lack of respect for partnership integrity constitutes grounds for immediate dissolution. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head.
really looked at me, maybe for the first time in years. "You're serious about this? $2.1 million, 30 days. Business is business." For the first time in his adult life, Max finally understood what partnership really meant. Max spent the following week calling every bank and lending institution in Los Angeles County. "I need a $2.1 million emergency loan. Debt consolidation. I have substantial real estate assets as collateral." The answer was always the same. "Sorry, your properties are already leveraged to maximum loan-to-value ratios.
No additional equity available. No loan possible." He tried private lenders, hard money lenders, investment groups, venture capital firms, anyone who might advance him money against his real estate portfolio. "All your properties show existing mortgages totaling 95% of current market value. We can't help you." He called Madison's family for help. "Judge Sterling, I need some financial advice, a temporary family loan, just until I can restructure some investments." "Max, the Sterling family doesn't involve itself in financial troubles. Perhaps you should speak with a bankruptcy attorney. We can recommend several reputable firms." Bankruptcy attorney. Judge Sterling hung up before Max could respond. Madison was next on his call list. "Honey, can your family help with a short-term loan? Just until this gets resolved?" "Daddy says we need to protect the family name and reputation. Maybe you should stay at your father's house until this situation gets sorted out."
Your father's house, the modest 3-bedroom ranch I'd offered to sell to help pay for Max's education, before I decided to give him everything instead. Max's business contacts disappeared overnight. Investment partners stopped returning calls. Development opportunities evaporated. Word spreads fast in small financial circles. "Mitchell's having major money problems. Stay away until it clears up." Day 15 of the 30-day notice period, Max called me, crying like a child. "Dad, please, I'll do anything. I'll apologize publicly. I'll change my name back to Mitchell. I'll work for your construction company. Whatever you want." $2.1 million, I said calmly. "That's what I want. I don't have $2.1 million. Nobody will lend it to me." "Then sell your assets and pay what you can. They're all mortgaged. If I sell, I'll still owe millions to the banks." "Not my problem, son. You should have read your contracts more carefully."
Day 20. The foreclosure notices went out to all 4 properties. That was just the beginning of his nightmare. Day 30 came and went without payment. Max had managed to scrape together $57,000 by selling his car, his watch collection, and Madison's jewelry. It wasn't nearly enough. Michael Porter filed the foreclosure papers on January 31st. All 4 properties, all at once. The mansion in Brentwood, the Santa Monica duplex, the downtown condo, the Palm Springs vacation rental. 4 notice of default signs appeared overnight. 4 public legal notices in the Los Angeles Times legal section. 4 humiliating announcements that Max Mitchell had failed to meet his financial obligations. Mitchell, Max J., default on private loan agreement. Forced sale proceedings initiated. Max had 2 choices: sell everything immediately at whatever price he could get, or watch the properties go to public auction where they'd sell for even less. He chose panic selling. The mansion went on the market first, listed at $2.8 million. Within a week, word had spread about the foreclosure situation. Buyers knew Max was desperate. They negotiated accordingly. Final sale price, $2.3 million. After realtor commissions, closing costs, and transfer taxes, Max netted $2.1 million. The Santa Monica duplex, listed for $1.2 million, sold for $950,000. Net proceeds, $740,000. Downtown condo, listed for $800,000, sold for $650,000. Net proceeds, $480,000. Palm Springs vacation rental, listed for $500,000, sold for $380,000. Net proceeds, $290,000. Total net proceeds from all 4 forced sales, $3.61 million. But those proceeds had to pay off the underlying mortgages first. The banks got their money before Max saw a penny. After paying off mortgages, accumulated interest, and penalties, Max had $1.9 million left. He owed me $2.1 million, still short by $200,000. Plus accumulated interest on the partnership loan, plus legal fees, plus penalty clauses for late payment. Final shortage $340,000 that Max couldn't possibly pay. Personal bankruptcy was his only remaining option. But I wasn't finished with him yet. Max filed for Chapter 7 personal bankruptcy in March 2024. Complete liquidation, business bankruptcy, total financial destruction of everything he'd built with my money. His credit score dropped to 425, lower than most college freshmen with no credit history. The bankruptcy filing made the Los Angeles Business Journal. Local real estate entrepreneurs' rapid rise and catastrophic fall. The article detailed his Stanford MBA credentials, his promising start in property investment, his aggressive over-leveraging strategy, and poor risk management decisions. No mention of Christmas dinner. No mention of humiliation. No mention of family betrayal. Just business failure and financial incompetence. Judge Sterling issued a carefully worded public statement through his chambers. The Sterling family extends general sympathy to anyone facing financial hardship, but maintains that fiscal responsibility and personal accountability are individual matters. Translation: don't associate the Sterling family name with this financial disaster. Madison filed for divorce the same week Max declared bankruptcy. Irreconcilable differences was the official reason. She kept her maiden name naturally, kept all the Sterling family connections, kept the country club membership and social circle access, left Max with nothing but debt and humiliation. His Stanford alumni network evaporated overnight. Nobody returns phone calls from bankrupt businessmen. His former investment associates found new partners. His development group expelled him for reputational concerns that might affect other members. Max had to move in with his college roommate, Derek, a one-bedroom apartment in Van Nuys, sleeping on a fold-out couch. The same living situation I'd escaped from 40 years earlier. He took a job selling insurance for a local agency, $28,000 per year plus commission, the same income level I'd achieved when I was 22 years old with a high school education. The irony was perfect. Max had ended up exactly where I'd started, but without the character or work ethic to build something better. But I still had one more surprise planned. The Christmas miracle was about to become a nuclear winter. In April, after Max had been selling insurance for 6 weeks, I called him. "Son, let's talk. I think this has gone far enough." The hope in his voice was pathetic and desperate. "Dad, really, you want to talk? Meet me at Denny's on Ventura Boulevard, the one where your mother used to work before she died." He was already sitting in a corner booth when I arrived, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 4 months. Thinner, grayer, wearing a cheap polyester suit from Men's Warehouse. "Dad, I'm so sorry about Christmas, about everything. I was completely wrong. Stupid and arrogant and ungrateful." "You were," I agreed without emotion. "But you're still my son." Tears started forming in his eyes. Real tears. "I lost everything. The house, Madison, my entire life. I'm living on Derek's couch selling insurance to people who don't want it." "I know exactly how that feels," I said. "That's why I want to help you." "Help me?" I slid a manila folder across the table. $500,000. Emergency loan. Get you back on your feet. Fresh start. His hands actually shook as he opened the folder. "Dad, I can't take this. I still owe you money from the partnership." "Consider this separate. New agreement. Family should help family when they're down." He read the first page quickly. Simple loan agreement. $500K principal. Reasonable interest rate. 5-year repayment terms. Nothing complicated. "This is incredibly generous." "More than generous." "Sign it," I said, pushing a pen toward him. He signed so fast the pen nearly tore through the paper. "Thank you, Dad. Thank you so much. I'll pay you back every penny. I swear on Mom's grave." I shook his hand across the table, looked him directly in the eye. "Max, there's something else you should know about this loan. That $500,000, it came from your inheritance trust fund." Max's grateful smile froze completely. "What trust fund?" "The trust fund your mother and I established when you were born. College education fund, emergency fund, your inheritance for when we died." I pulled out another folder, much thicker, legal documents dating back 25 years. Trust agreements, beneficiary designations, investment statements. Every penny I've given you since college graduation, it was your own trust money. The Stanford tuition payments, the investment partnership funding, the house down payment, all of it came from your inheritance.
Max's face went completely white. That's not possible. I was the trustee. I controlled when and how you received access to your inheritance. The trust was worth $2.3 million when you turned 18. But the partnership was funded entirely by your trust. I was loaning your own money back to you with your permission. I gave you what was already yours. The devastating truth settled over him like a suffocating blanket. Every success, every achievement, every dollar he'd thought came from his business acumen or investment skills was inheritance money he'd already owned. So I never actually earned anything independently? No, you spent your inheritance, then borrowed against it, then lost it all through terrible financial decisions. Max stared at the trust documents like they were written in a foreign language. Birth certificate, Diana's signature, mine.
25 years of careful financial planning destroyed by entitlement and poor judgment. Everything you thought you earned was borrowed from yourself. The insurance job, the couch surfing, the bankruptcy. All of it happening while he'd been rich the entire time and spent every penny. How much is left in the trust? Nothing. You just borrowed the last of it. I stood up from the Denny's booth and put on my jacket. Left Max sitting there with trust documents spread across the sticky table like evidence of a crime. Dad, wait. Where are you going? Florida. Bought a condo in Clearwater Beach. Cash purchase, moving next week. Florida? What about us? What about our relationship? Us. Like there was still an us after Christmas dinner, after the humiliation, after years of disrespect and social embarrassment. Max, you're 33 years old. You've made your choices consistently for years. Now live with the consequences. But you're my father, my only family. No, I said, zipping up my jacket. Judge Sterling is your father now, remember? Christmas dinner, he's your real father figure. I walked toward the restaurant exit. Max scrambled to follow me. Dad, please. I was wrong. I was stupid and arrogant. But you're my family, my real family. I turned back one final time in the parking lot. Family is about respect, Max, about gratitude, about remembering who sacrificed for your success. You chose Judge Sterling. You chose Madison's social circle. You chose to be ashamed of where you came from. I choose you now. I choose our family. Too late, 6 months too late, 20 years too late. The trust fund is empty. The partnership is dissolved permanently. You're on your own. I got in my truck. Same 2018 Camry I'd driven to their country club, to their mansion, to their humiliating Christmas dinner. Max stood in the parking lot holding trust documents, watching his father drive away forever. But I had one final Christmas gift planned for him. Madison's divorce papers arrived at Max's Van Nuys apartment 3 days after our final meeting. Her attorney was expensive and efficient. No wasted time or emotion. Irreconcilable differences was legal code for financial embarrassment and social humiliation. The Sterling family simply couldn't be associated with bankruptcy and failure. Bad for Judge Sterling's federal reputation. Toxic for their carefully maintained social standing. Madison kept everything that mattered in their world. The Sterling family name, the country club connections, access to the Martha's Vineyard compound, the federal judge father's political network. Max got to keep his debt and his shame. The divorce made the society pages of the Los Angeles Times. Sterling-Mitchell marriage ends amicably after brief union. Madison's quoted statement, "We're both focusing on separate paths toward personal growth and new opportunities." Personal growth. Like bankruptcy was a spiritual retreat. Like financial destruction was a learning experience. Judge Sterling issued his own carefully crafted statement through his federal chambers. The Sterling family wishes Max well in his future endeavors, but will not be commenting further on private family matters. Translation: You're dead to us. Don't mention our name. Max's former country club membership was suspended pending resolution of outstanding financial obligations. The networking event stopped inviting him. His Stanford alumni group quietly removed him from all mailing lists and directories. Madison was already dating someone new within a month. Another federal judge's son. Another old money family, another proper breeding situation with no financial troubles or working-class embarrassment. Max saw the engagement announcement in the Los Angeles Times Society section 6 months later. Madison Sterling and William Hampton III announce engagement. William Hampton III. A Roman numeral after his name. That's what replacing Max Mitchell got her. But the public humiliation was just beginning. Then the video went viral and changed everything. Someone had uploaded security camera footage from the Christmas dinner to YouTube. Spoiled son humiliates father who built his empire. The video went viral overnight. 2.3 million views in the first 48 hours. Shared across every social media platform. Reposted by dozens of content creators. The footage was devastating. Crystal clear security cameras captured everything. Max violently yanking my chair, my knees hitting marble, me scrambling to get up with scraped palms, Judge Sterling's satisfied smirk, Madison's delighted laughter, 25 people watching in fascinated silence. The comment section was absolutely brutal. Entitled brat got exactly what he deserved. Dad should have cut him off years ago. This is why spoiled kids need to earn their own money. Hope he enjoys being homeless and bankrupt. Trailer park to mansion to trailer park in one generation. Max became an instant internet meme. Screenshots of him pulling my chair were captioned with savage humor. When you forget who paid for everything. Spoiled son starter pack. Trust fund kid discovers consequences. How to lose $4.2 million in one night. Local television news picked up the story within a week. Viral video shows family drama that led to financial disaster. They interviewed me with professional lighting and sympathetic questions. I came across as the hard-working, generous father, the self-made success story, the victim of ingratitude. Tell us about building your construction business from nothing, Mr. Mitchell. Well, I started with $500 borrowed dollars and worked 80-hour weeks for 25 years to give my son opportunities I never had. The narrative was perfect for their family values programming. They loved the story. Max's insurance company saw the video within days. We're going to have to let you go, Max. Company policy regarding public relations incidents. Nothing personal, just business. The same justification Max used to use about his treatment of me. But I wasn't done destroying him yet. The viral video completely destroyed Max's remaining professional connections. Nobody wants to partner with internet memes or hire people associated with family dysfunction. His Stanford Business School classmates all saw the footage within days. The same classmates who'd once respected his real estate developer father story and his rapid success in property investment. Did you see Max Mitchell's viral humiliation video? Guy publicly embarrassed his own father over Christmas dinner. Completely unhinged. The Stanford Alumni Association quietly removed Max from their professional networking directory. No formal announcement, no explanation. He just disappeared from their system permanently. His insurance agency job lasted exactly 2 weeks after the video gained national attention. Company policy regarding employees involved in public relations incidents, they explained politely. Then the job interviews dried up completely. We've decided to go with someone else. Always someone else. Always a different excuse. Google searches for Max Mitchell now returned the humiliation video as the first result. Every potential employer found it. Every dating app match discovered it. Every landlord stumbled across it during background checks. He was completely unemployable. Meanwhile, the viral video had an unexpected positive side effect for me. Local construction workers and blue-collar guys started following my story. Working-class people who related to sacrificing everything for ungrateful children. Liam's Army became a social media hashtag. Construction workers posting their own stories of sacrifice and family ingratitude. Fathers sharing similar experiences with entitled children. I started receiving speaking invitations from business organizations. They wanted to hear about authentic leadership and family business dynamics and working-class values. Stanford Business School invited me to speak. Stanford, the same institution that had taught Max to be ashamed of my blue-collar background. The irony was absolutely perfect. But I had one more devastating surprise coming for Max. The speaking circuit embraced my story with enthusiasm. From trailer park to construction empire, a father's story of sacrifice and betrayal. Harvard Business School, Yale School of Management, Northwestern Kellogg. They all wanted to hear about building something from nothing, about authentic sacrifice versus inherited privilege, about the difference between earned success and trust fund entitlement. The business schools were teaching my story as a case study in work ethic, integrity, and family dynamics. Students wrote papers analyzing the psychological factors that led to Max's sense of entitlement and financial destruction. Local news media loved the story even more. Construction King's incredible comeback after family betrayal. They interviewed my former employees, my business clients, my competitors. Everyone had the same consistent message. Liam Mitchell, most honest contractor in 3 counties. He'd worked 16-hour days to meet impossible deadlines. Never met anyone who worked harder for his family. Gave that boy everything and got nothing but disrespect. The media narrative was perfect. Hard-working immigrant mentality father, ungrateful privileged son. Justice finally served through legitimate business consequences. I started receiving serious business offers, investment opportunities, speaking fees that paid more per hour than Max's entire monthly insurance salary. Construction workers across the region started wearing Mitchell Construction baseball caps in solidarity. I hadn't actively run Mitchell Construction in 3 years, but the brand was stronger than ever. Local politicians invited me to campaign events. Real American success story, working class values, family responsibility. Max watched all of this unfold from his studio apartment, selling insurance policies to people who didn't want them. Watched his father become a folk hero while he became a cautionary tale. But I wasn't finished with him. In November, I sent out very special invitations to a very special party. I rented the Grand Ballroom at the Beverly Hills Hotel, the same hotel where Max and Madison had held their engagement party 3 years earlier, the same ballroom I'd paid for without being thanked. 25 invitations went out in elegant envelopes. The exact guest list from Christmas Dinner 2023, Judge Sterling. Madison and her new fiancé, William Hampton III, all the society witnesses to my original humiliation, and Max. Liam Mitchell cordially invites you to celebrate his retirement from family business, December 23, 2024. Special presentation regarding legacy, inheritance, and family succession. Same date as the Christmas humiliation. Exactly 1 year later. Perfect symmetry. Max called me 2 days after receiving his invitation. Dad, is this real? You actually want me there? Of course. You're my son. This is about family legacy and what we've built together. Hope crept back into his voice. Desperate, pathetic hope. Does this mean, are we going to work things out? Reconcile? Come to the party, Max. You'll understand everything. He thought it was reconciliation. Thought I was ready to restore his inheritance. Give him another chance. Welcome him back into the family business. Maybe even offer him a job. Judge Sterling accepted the invitation immediately. Curious about what the trailer park contractor might have to say about legacy and family succession, Madison RSVP'd yes, probably hoping for entertainment value. Watching her bankrupt ex-husband grovel for forgiveness would be amusing dinner conversation. I hired professional videographers. For the family archive, I explained. Very important historical moment. I ordered catering from the same company that had done their Christmas dinner. Same menu, same wine selection, same elegant presentation, same ballroom, same people, same power dynamics. Except this time I controlled the entire narrative. Max thought it was reconciliation and forgiveness. He had no idea what was actually coming. December 23, 2024. Exactly 1 year after the Christmas humiliation. The Beverly Hills Hotel ballroom filled with familiar faces and old memories. Judge Sterling held court near the bar, discussing federal appeals cases. Madison arrived with William Hampton III, showing off her engagement ring. All the Christmas dinner witnesses were dressed in their holiday finest. Max arrived 30 minutes early. Nervous energy, hopeful desperation, wearing his best remaining suit and a pathetic smile. Dad, thank you so much for this, for giving me another chance, for bringing the family back together. Oh, this is definitely about bringing families together, I said cryptically. At exactly 8 o'clock, I called for everyone's attention. Professional cameras positioned throughout the ballroom started recording. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. Exactly 1 year ago, many of you witnessed a very important moment in my family's history. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. Max's face started going pale. Tonight, I want to share that moment with everyone again, for context. I nodded to the video technician. The Christmas dinner footage began playing on 3 large screens positioned around the ballroom. Max violently pulled my chair, my knees hitting marble, my scraped palms, Judge Sterling's satisfied smirk, Madison's delighted laughter, 25 people watching in fascinated silence. The ballroom went completely silent. 25 people watching themselves watch my humiliation. "This is why I'm retiring from the family business," I announced to the silent room. I walked to the center of the ballroom and pulled a set of keys from my jacket pocket. "Max, please come here. It's time for your official inheritance." Max approached slowly, like a condemned man walking to the electric chair. Every camera focused on his face, every guest staring in fascination. "These are the keys to a 1998 Honda Civic. 17,000 miles on the odometer. Runs perfectly. This represents your complete inheritance from the Mitchell family." Scattered gasps echoed through the ballroom. Judge Sterling's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Everything you truly earned through your own character and effort. Everything your behavior and values actually deserve." Max stared at the car keys like they were coated in poison. "Dad, please, not here. Not like this. Not in front of everyone." "Not like what? Publicly? In front of witnesses with everyone watching?" I turned to address the crowd. "Like Max did to me exactly 1 year ago?" Madison stepped forward nervously. "Liam, this is embarrassing for everyone involved." "Embarrassing?" I faced her directly. "You mean like watching your father-in-law get knocked down and scraped up while you laughed?" She stepped back quickly. "Madison, I have a special announcement for you, too. Your divorce from Max became final today. You're now completely free to marry William Hampton III without any connection to the Mitchell family name." The ballroom erupted in whispers and shocked murmurs. Madison's face turned bright red. "How did you know about—" "I paid for your divorce attorney. Best money I ever spent." I dropped the Honda keys into Max's trembling palm. "Your inheritance. Everything you truly earned. Merry Christmas." "There's one more gift," I announced to the completely silent ballroom. I produced a thick manila envelope from my jacket. Official-looking, legal documents. "Riverside Trailer Park, Ohio, Lot 47, where I grew up. Where this entire story began 40 years ago." I opened the envelope and pulled out property deeds. "Fresh from the county recorder's office. I bought it last month, had it completely renovated. Very authentic working-class experience. Perfect for starting over." Max's eyes widened in absolute horror as he understood. "I'm offering it to you, son. Below market rate rent, $400 per month, utilities included, move-in ready." The same trailer park I'd escaped from 4 decades earlier. The same poverty I'd sworn my son would never experience. Full circle. "You could start tomorrow morning. Complete fresh start." Judge Sterling watched in fascination. Madison covered her mouth in shock. The cameras captured every moment. Max finally understood the complete picture. The trailer park, the Honda Civic, the bankruptcy, the viral humiliation, all of it leading to this perfect moment. He was ending up exactly where I'd started. Except I'd had character, work ethic, and dreams of something better. Max just had shame and regret. "Family isn't about blood," I said to the cameras, to the witnesses, to my former son. "It's about respect, about gratitude, about remembering who invested in your success." I walked toward the ballroom exit and stopped at the door. "Max, the trailer park offer stands permanently. Lot 47, when you're ready to start over. Really start over. Family is about respect, not blood."